Hello, good afternoon. I'll let you into a little secret. I really had to make sure I said good afternoon this afternoon. I've actually got it written down because normally I'm here midweek in the morning, but it's really nice to welcome you to your Friday and also to the virtual village hall. So lots of children this week have broken up for half term. So if your job role has suddenly changed to entertainment manager for children, then I've got a really great printmaking technique that you can do just for a bit of creative me time or to keep the children occupied. And it's called Watercolor Monotypes. And I'm going to show you just how to do it. So what I'm going to do is pop you down. I've got all the equipment laid out and I'll talk you through. So to start with, you're going to need a piece of Perspex, acrylic, plexiglass, that sort of thing. Don't use glass just because we are going to be using sandpaper to sand it down. You'll also need a design, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. You'll need some watercolours and just a pot for water and your paintbrushes. Then to print, we'll need paper. This is just paper from a sketch pad. You'll need just a container filled with water to put the paper in. Sounds a bit odd at the moment, but all will be revealed. And also a rolling pin or something like a metal spoon, probably a tablespoon. They work really well. So I think that's everything. So let's start off first by treating our plexiglass to a nice little exfoliation. So I'm using medium sandpaper, and what I'm going to do is just sand the glass, sand the Perspex, and this is going to make sure that when we're using the watercolours on it, that it sticks to the surface. If we don't do this, then you'll end up with the water all the colours beading up. It won't stick to the surface and you'll end up with not much of a print at all. So I can't really talk over this, I think it's really noisy. So just give me a few minutes while I do that. And while I'm doing that, it would be lovely to hear where you're watching from today. So please put in the comments, say hi, let me know where you're watching from and what you're up to. There we go. So I'm just going to brush the dust away. Just be careful not to breathe that dust in. So I've done it away from me, but you might want to use a mask just to be on the safe side. So make sure you don't breathe that in. You can see a couple of shiny spots still, so I'm just going to go over those. You can also do this outside as well. Okay, so that's our inking plate, our printing plate all sorted. So I'm going to put that to one side and talk to you about the design. So the first thing to make sure with your design is that it's no bigger than your printing plate. And also, because this is a transfer print process, you need to make sure that everything is in reverse. So I've done an R for Rachel, that's me. So I've made sure that that's in reverse. Now you can draw this by hand, you could print this out from a computer. Lots of phones now can reverse an image, so then you can print it out as well. This is where it's really nice for children because it gets them into the idea of transfer print process, so that you've got to make sure everything's in reverse. And also it's quite nice because there's a little bit of magic involved, that something that's the wrong way, when it gets printed out, it's the right way. So that's your design. So I'm going to put the design underneath the Perspex, and I've just got some tape somewhere. And so that it doesn't move around whilst I'm painting, I'm going to try and find the end of my tape. There we are. Just to hold that down. So it doesn't slip about. So I'm going to start painting in a minute, but before I do that, I want to put my paper into the water. So the reason that we are putting the paper into the water, if you watched a few weeks ago, we did what's called Intellio Printmaking. I'll see if we can put the video in the link for you. But it works on the basis that you soak paper in water. With this one, we're going to wait for the watercolour to dry. And then when we put damp paper on top and we press down with our rolling pin or our spoon, then that reinvigorates the moisture in the dried paint, and then it produces the print. So I normally do this just before I start painting on to my acrylic plate. So I'll put that to one side. So I've got my paints here. And my water pot. And I'm just going to start painting. And you'll notice that, number one, it's a bit squeaky because my hand's rubbing against the Perspex. But you'll notice that it doesn't bead up. If I was to do this on just a piece of acrylic that hasn't been treated, hasn't been sanded, then you'd get lots of beading up. So I'm going to do this fairly quickly, so it won't be as neat as yours, but you take as much time as you want. There's no rush with it. Just make sure that you don't smudge as you do it. And what's nice is if you make a mistake, it feels like there's less pressure than painting onto paper, because if you make a mistake, just use a cloth or a tissue, wipe it off, and you can start again. You can see that some of the glass hasn't quite, sorry, not glass, Perspex, haven't quite sanded enough there, and that's actually beaten up. But it gives you an idea of what would happen if you didn't sand this. So I mentioned that it's half term for lots of us. What will you be getting up to this half term? Have you got any plans? Are you managing to get away this time, or lots of craft activities, or trying to get outdoors? Let me know in the comments. I always like to have a look through after, see what you're all up to. And obviously if you're doing any printmaking, if you've used, oh, I've smudged that. If you've used any of the print techniques that I've done before, please put them in the comments, post photos. I always love to see what you get up to. because I was talking. Just got a few more bits here to do. It says you can take a bit more time than me. Okay, so this design that I'm working to, so I'm just going to put that by the side so that I can make sure I get the colours right. And I'll talk to you in a minute as well about how you add more colours and sort of what to do if you want them blended or you want them separate. I'll just add very quickly all the black bits first. No, it feels very different doing the session on a Friday. I like it. It does feel very end of the week, and this time of the month I run something called Print Club, which is a monthly meetup, and we get to try out different print techniques over Zoom. So I've already done one this morning, and I've got one later on this evening as well. So it really does feel like end of the week, ready for a bit of relaxing. Okay, I'm going to turn that around because I'm going to keep moving that. So I'm getting a lot busier in my printmaking workshops that I run in real life as well. I've done lots online now, but there's lots going on in real life as restrictions are opening up. So I've got lots of printmaking workshops going on over the half term. I'm based in Medway, and I'm taking part in the council's child-friendly Medway campaign, which is where children and young people can suggest different ideas for making Medway a better place for them. So I will be helping out with printmaking, decorating post boxes that are going to be displayed all around Medway for people to put their ideas in. That's a really nice project to be involved in, and I'm running that for about 40 children over 2 days. So it's going to be quite a busy one. So I'm looking forward to a nice weekend where I can have a good relax, do a little bit of prep. I'm pretty much sorted on the prep side, but yeah, good relax before all the craziness. And then I also work with a sort of, I suppose it's a country estate in a way, Belmont House. If you're based in Kent, you might know it. They're in Faversham, and we've got lots of different printmaking going on. I'm doing screen printing, cyanotypes, which is the sun prints which I've shown on here before, and what else are we doing? Oh, and jelly printing, which again I've shown on here before. So you can go back and look at all of those. Again, great for children, great for you if you want a bit of creative me time. They're really nice ones to do. So yeah, these have been going on for quite a while now on the Virtual Village Hall, and it's so nice that I keep getting asked back. I really enjoy it. Okay, so let's just go in with the blue now. So with this one here, as I was saying about, I'll talk to you about placing colour. So if this was dry, I could put this colour right up, and there wouldn't be any run over. But because it's still wet, I don't really want the blue and the orange mixing. So I'm just leaving a little gap in between. I'll do a yellow in a minute. I'll show you with this one where you can get a nice bleeding effect. I'll show you here. You get the sort of bleeding effect, and these colours will mix, which gives you nice which gives you a great effect when we print it. I'll just carry on with my blue. Okay. And now let's just go in with red and green finally. So red and orange mix quite well. So I'm putting those into that, and that will mix up a bit more. I should just add a bit more water because I think the orange has gone a bit dry. There we go. And that just lets those colours mingle and make different patterns. Quite a nice one. A few more bits of red. And finally the green. So these, as you see, just normal watercolours. You can use gouache or gouache, it's sometimes called, depending on how you pronounce it. Just make sure they're watered down. They're not. Don't put them on too thick. I did a few experiments with different types of thickness, and if they went on too thick, then they didn't sort of dissolve enough on the paper, and I ended up ripping the paper. So make sure they're watered down like you would with watercolours. Okay, a few more to go. So ideally you would leave this to dry overnight, but if you're a little bit impatient, then you can dry it with a hairdryer. But make sure when you take the image off, make sure that you dry it with the hairdryer from underneath. So don't blow on top, because that's just going to blow all that watercolours all everywhere, and they're all going to bleed into one another, make a big old mess. So make sure you dry from the underneath. That will just warm the printing plate, your piece of Perspex. That will warm that up, and then it will start drying. Oh, okay. That's great. That's good. So I will leave that to one side. I can take the image off, and that just gets left to one side to dry. So here's the one that is all nice and dry. I'll put my paints away, and then I can show you how to print. So I've got my paper in the water, got my printing plate, and I've also got my rolling pin. I've got an old tea towel here as well. So take the paper out of the water, just put it on the tea towel, and you're just really getting off the excess water. Don't want it to be too shiny, but it mustn't be too dry either. There we go, I think that's good. So make sure your printing plate is flat. Put the paper on top. And then I roll down quite lightly to start with. And then I stand up so that I can get all my weight behind. And I hope for the best. So I'm pressing nice and firmly, just backwards and forwards in small strokes. Just turn that round. And as you can see it's starting to come through the back of the paper, so you know that it is working. How well remains to be seen. I think that's good. And then you pull it off, and there's your print. So a little bit like magic, we've gone from back to front to the right way round, and these colours have merged really nicely. That was possibly a little bit too wet, but I like that effect because it looks sort of a bit antique-y. Okay, so that's how to do monotype watercolours. I hope you have an amazing weekend. If you've got half term as well, have a great half term. Please do share with us all of the prints that you make and anything that you're doing on the Virtual Finish Hall. We love to hear from you. So I've been Rachel from I Printed That, and it's been an absolute pleasure sharing that with you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.